Welcome back to part 2 of our episode on the military decision-making process. Right away progressing with 4. Course of action analysis, wargame. Now you want to disseminate and test your developed courses of action. Wargaming is a great method to literally play such out thoroughly. Once again something we will come back to, even in its own series on our channel. Because...
Okay, big problem. Doctrine doesn't tell us how to do this.
So if you are interested in these topics, either process usually dozens of hours of suggested research topics, watch the different full-length lectures, or consider subscribing to our channel, being provided with understandably condensed content of greater variety on a regular basis. A good starting point for our first wargame, business competition simulation, is to form teams and then play turn-based in an order of action, reaction, counteraction against your competitors, while a worst or for example a trio of referees oversee and lay the framework for the developments unfolding based on both teams' actions.
But if we decide to defend Taiwan, then I think they will attack our forces around the region.
The priority for the first 24 hours is to try to go as fast as possible against Taipei, right? I think it matters to deter United States, Japan, Australia, and other countries from intervening.
We learned the lessons from Ukraine when the Russians let Zelensky survive, and he organized resistance, he got international support, and we're not going to let Taiwan do the same thing.
For example, you plan to significantly widen your range of offered beverages. Successfully, they started back to basics eco-friendly rebranding while embracing their own version of an air-up clone. As you try to mimic the latter, they further start publicly attacking your supply chain ethics, as well as even fund independent research.
This is where I work, the Academy of Tobacco Studies. It was established by 7 gentlemen you may recognize from C-SPAN. This is the man they rely on. They found him in Germany. I won't go into the details. He's been testing the link between nicotine and lung cancer for 30 years and hasn't found any conclusive results. The man's a genius. He could disprove gravity. Then we've got our sharks. We draft them out of Ivy League law schools and give them timeshares and sports cars. It's just like a John Grisham novel.
To torpedo your environmental responsibility or even health effects perception. Yeah, brace yourselves for our Devil's Advocate as well as 5th Generation Warfare series. For your information, this as well as the former example were intentionally a little very much realistically strategic touched, but you get the greater idea we consider necessary in risk mitigation and continuity planning when talking about corporate strategic planning, and as always want to encourage you to start to constantly engage in informed experiments. Which our episode True From This On happens to be titled. Would you look at that? Seriously, would you look at that? 5. Course of action comparison. In step 5 you want to compare the different courses of action. What kind of losses are to expect in comparison? How would available combat support be needed to be distributed for an optimum? Which would guard best against possible worst case scenarios like counter thrusts or even unobserved mounting enemy attack in this movement axis? See point 2.7 respective 2.6. Business. This is where you apply different measures to compare your different plans' possible outcomes in regards to strategic approach, needed resources, weighed against potential opportunity losses as well as profits. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to not miss our take on opportunity costs as well. If you, for example, directed half your marketing team's hours, or rather members, or just promote one to project manager to gradually transition into hiring more staff for especially this undertaking, or a combination of the former while gradually relieving your present staff? Which effects will this have on your proven introduced product sales? Some might rightfully having, for example, a BCG matrix popping up before the internal eyes, and yes, all of what comes to your mind potentially could be utilized, used as a metric to which we will come back in our closing remarks.
And one of the ones that really stuck with me, and I saved it, it said, enlightened leaders make decisions with a clear mind and a pure heart. And I found that if I did my homework, that if I dove into the issue that I was trying to make a decision on and felt I did the best I could to gather every bit of information that I could that was available, that I was making a decision with a clear mind. And then I could look myself in the mirror and say, I'm doing this for the right reasons. I'm doing it with a clear heart. That gave me the conviction that the plan might work. And that gave me the courage to act.
6. Course of action approval. German. Vorlage zur Entscheidung. The commander now has to approve one of the produced courses of action and kick off its implementation. Business. As many good commanders, you should be open for advice from your senior staff, but especially present experts, for example in military aspects to the pioneer, combat engineer support officer, which route approaches to take, while in business context, for example, to your head machinist who questions engineers and management exclusively produced courses of action, blueprints. Especially entrepreneurs less versed in economics as well as strategic concerns, with differently specialized backgrounds, are highly advised to keep, for example, at least an informal advisory board, which is mandated for limited liability corporations for good reasons in form of the supervisory board.
And as I do this, I'd come back to the Pentagon and I'd sit down with the staff and my subordinate commanders, and I'd say, look, this is what I'm seeing. And they'd calibrate me. And we'd have exchange of information. And in that dialogue with them, I was sharing with them what I was seeing, but they were helping me sharpen my thinking. Because this is not something that you do by yourself as a leader. You need help.
7. Orders production. Now the op ord development starts, formulating the orders for preparation and execution. I repeat, the decision should be formulated according to the pattern of who does what, when and where, how and why, and can then be found both in the formulation of the general mission and for the subordinate units in detail in the implementation sub-item/attachment. Here's also where things like CCRA, Commander's Critical Information Requirements, remember the PIRs, in our Israel Analysis Part 3, come into play. Yet as everything, the MDMP as well is not perfect and especially is not ideal for quick decision-making necessities. MDMP issues and limitations. Despite its effectiveness, MDMP has limitations. It can be time-consuming, bureaucratic, and may lead to groupthink. Its focus on processes and military aspects may neglect other critical factors, potentially resulting in a disconnect between planning and execution, especially in joint or multinational environments. The rapid decision-making process as an alternative. Enter the rapid decision and synchronization process, a streamlined version of the MDMP designed for rapid decision-making. RDSP omits certain time-consuming elements relying on leader experience and intuition. While similar to MDMP in many respects, in an RDSP scenario you would prioritize timely and effective solutions over optimal ones. Automation and AI integration. The integration of automation and artificial intelligence into MDMP holds great potential. Automation streamlines data collection and analysis, allowing staff to focus on more complex tasks. AI can identify patterns, simulate courses of action, and predict outcomes, enhancing decision-making. However, challenges such as technology development, ethical considerations, and legal implications must be addressed. Conclusion. MDMP remains a vital tool for military decision-making, but it's not without its areas for improvement. Embracing the RDSP and integrating automation and AI can enhance MDMP's efficiency, making it more adaptive to the challenges of contemporary military operations. By understanding its strengths and weaknesses, and remaining open to innovation, MDMP can evolve and continue serving as a robust and dynamic decision-making tool in the 21st century. As always, we hope you took something from this newest work of our valuetainment channels, you had a safe transition into the new year, with hopefully not too much hangovers from celebrations, as well as in regards of last year's tasks. And that you take this episode as another holiday season gift to hopefully help you possibly fine-tune some of your courses of actions for this new year and the new years to come. Thank you for your attention. This concludes my elaborations.
Albert, when I came to you with those calculations, we thought we might start a chain reaction that would destroy the entire world.
I remember it well. What happened?
I believe we did. I am the commander.